It's the Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. 2Ks, we got a big show. I am super stoked for this. We're going to touch on the just released NCAA bracket as well as break down NFL free agency. 2Ks, there was over $2 billion spent already on free agents. Now, and we kind of went through this when it was baseball season, and we kind of, the Dodgers pretty much spent $1 billion. So there really wasn't any big time contract like that, but we're going to break down position by position, tell you our thoughts on some of the big hitters here. And we've got a great top five. Got a great top five. We're going to do our top 5 favorite things about March Madness. And I have a feeling that both of us are going to have kind of similar top 5. So for those of you watching on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, let us know, what is your top 5 favorite things about March Madness? And when we get to that part of the show, we'll kind of compare and contrast your list with ours. So, well, 2Ks, let's get into it, man. Some big news. Big news to jump into, like we talked about, we're watching the women's side of the bracket here being unfolded on ESPN, but the kind of the number 1 seeds and the guys, nothing really changed. I mean, it's been UConn pretty much the whole season. I mean, they might not have been number 1 the entire season or for the entirety, but they kind of seem like the team that if you were going to pick one is kind of head and shoulders above all the rest of them. You kind of have to give them a nod. So I really don't have an issue with any of the top seeds. Now we'll kind of wait and see. We're definitely not going to go bracket by bracket and be like this team should be a number 5 rather than number 6. That's not what we do. At least I don't do that. Do you?
No.
All right. Yeah, we love March Madness. Don't get me wrong, but I've seen maybe 2 minutes of a Duquesne game, so I'm not properly qualified to sit here and be like, well, Duquesne is a 12 seed, should actually be a 13 seed because their strength of schedule. No, we're not not even broaching that subject. Not even broaching that subject, but this is one of my favorite times of year. One of my favorite times of year, and we'll kind of get into the reasons why once we get into our top 5. But kind of a little foreshadowing. I mean, this is pretty much the start of like there's football season and then there's all the rest. And this is kind of the start to all the rest. I mean, we've got March Madness here coming up. We've got the Masters and then opening day of baseball. And then it's no holds barred from there. That's when the vast majority of our viewers know us as kind of a football show, but we're actually more of a baseball show than anything else. And speaking of baseball, Baseball is Dead podcast needs to get back because I'm tired of listening to Pardon My Take. Shout out to those boys, but man, you guys make it so hard to watch and listen to that. Jared, come on, we need you back. we need you back. We need you back. And before we jump into anything else, 2Ks, happy St. Patty's Day. I know it's kind of lost its luster when you get our age, but do have some fond memories of St. Patty's, most of which is a bartender, which was absolutely hilarious. You got to see who actually brushed their teeth. And the reason I say that is with the green beer, if you don't brush your teeth turn green. So ladies out there or guys, if you're patrolling tonight and if you're catching us as you're bar crawling, check their teeth. Check their teeth. If they're green, they don't brush their teeth, which is fucking nasty, especially if you're going out on the town on a day like today. Yes, it is Sunday, but working in the bar industry for as long as I did 2Ks, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, especially when it's St. Patty's, it's going to be packed. Now, probably a lot of folks got out and about last night, but not this guy. The Mrs. Turbo had to work all weekend, so got some stuff done around the house, but definitely missed a. This used to be one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah. Just doesn't seem like the bar atmosphere is what it used to be anymore. It's ever since COVID, the post-COVID trip, just people don't. Bars are just not open until 2 a.m. anymore, and I mean, how many times were we still in the bar at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning? Still
Unnamed
there.
bars, of course. Unnamed
Yes,
bars.
yes, still in there. And those days are over. And I don't know if I don't know. It's not us. I mean, it's not like, I mean, yeah, we've gotten older, but I feel like if we were allowed to do it, we would still do it. But we're just like, it's just not a thing anymore.
I was like, probably not as frequent.
Mhm.
Probably not as frequent. But yeah, 2K crew, I've got you without music here. Let's kick some tunes on for you. Yeah, some other news that we're gonna get. It's kind of a prelude to kind of our free agency breakdown here. 2K is Justin Fields goes to the Steelers for what was it, a 6th round pick that could be a conditional 4th. Just kind of goes to show you that the kind of the market or quote unquote market that GM Polls was kind of hoping for Justin Fields really wasn't there, and Kyler in the Facebook group put it very, very bluntly. He's like, they didn't do him dirty.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him to a spot where even though they're saying that there is not going to be a quarterback contest, it's Rush's job.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I mean, and just the way that trade is worded, I mean, it's obvious that it's Russ's job. I think that's the Steelers. The Steelers have it perfect. Like, they have their biggest problem last year and the biggest problem for the last 5-6 years. I mean, they've been a good team. They just haven't been a team that can get over that hump, and it's because they don't have a quarterback. And now you have options.
And Matt Canada was a trash.
Well, yeah, but and it was pretty obvious just watching the last couple of years that Kenny Pickett is not a quarterback that's going to at this point in his career is not that quarterback that's gonna take you to get on a run in the playoff. Get you to the playoffs, sure. A run in the playoffs, I don't think he's capable of that right now. Not saying that he won't ever be able to do that, but now you have a guy in Russell Wilson that has done it. Silently, and he's got more critics than anybody around the league, but silently had a pretty damn good season last year.
Not horrible.
In a system that it wasn't like he had a loaded talent all around him.
No.
So I see him moving over here now. I think right now this team is a more talented lineup than what he had in Denver, and then the addition of Justin Fields now. Like, Justin Fields is he's a guy that you want to watch every single time he's on the field. You want to watch him because he is kind of like a highlight reel of of the upside and what he can do. And maybe a year of him just sitting back and playing behind Russ is what's going to do wonders for him, and just maybe a change of scenery. I mean, we all know that the curse of being a quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Right.
They really have never developed one ever.
No.
So for him to just get out of there, a fresh start. And we've known for months that the Bears were going to take Caleb Williams. It's the safe bet. I know a lot of Bears fans. I chat with them. I was talking to a lot of them last night. And I know that there was some wishful thinking that they would keep Justin Fields and make a run at probably the best player in the draft and Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think it was pretty clear 3 months ago who this first pick was going to be.
Yeah.
Ryan Poles is going to play this as safe as he can. He's been on the hot seat these last couple of years. He's going to take the one that everybody in the world is saying that he's the closest sure thing in this draft. And so,
and if you're Ryan Poles sitting there going, all right, are you ready to pay Justin Fields $30+ million a year? $40+ million a year, whatever the going rate is to extend him. And in my heart of hearts, I do think that I think right now at his current position right now, he's more a Danny Dimes quarterback than even like a Justin Fields or Joe Burrow or any of those top level or even mid level that a lot of Bears fans really wanted him to be, and he showed flashes of. But if you rewind, Danny Dimes kind of did the same thing, with his legs. Granted, totally different skill set Justin Fields is compared to Danny Dimes. I get that. But their production There's the staff that was around them. You can I draw more comparisons to that, and you see where that's gotten the Giants.
Yeah.
So doing this resets the quarterback, your pay scale for the next 4 or 5 years, which is the smart thing to do. Now, I think it's kind of a slam dunk that Caleb Williams goes to the Bears, but I mean, the Bears have a history of missing so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So many times that is this going to be the one that they finally get it? I mean, you look at even going back to last year, they had the number 1 overall pick, traded it. CJ Stroud could be in Chicago right now. Now, that's going to be the comparison going forward. That we're comparing rookie quarterbacks to is CJ Stroud because of the success he had, and he kind of reset the whole rookie quarterback mark. So. Is it big shoes to fill? Yeah, it really is. It really is. But is it something that is achievable? Yeah. I mean, you look at what was it Daniels is the quarterback for LSU. Both of those guys, they have the potential to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, which one? What's the safest bet?
Right.
And there really isn't a. As much as I want to say Caleb Williams is that number 1 overall, just badass, slam dunk, next Andrew Luck.
He was before this college season was played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when he coming off of the Heisman, I think everybody in the world was saying this guy is
it.
And man, there was a lot of things that happened this college season. Obviously, the team was not good.
Yeah.
But just kind of the for me, watching some of them USC games. And look, it has to be very frustrating when you play on a team where your defense can't stop anybody. And you're constantly having to go out there and put points on the board every single game. You basically have this feeling of we got to score every single time we get the ball because our defense can't stop anybody.
Right.
And that's got to be hard. But the thing that kind of worried me with him is just the demeanor, the way that he acted, the way that he was always, it just seemed like he was trying way too hard to get spotlight on him and it's just like everybody in the whole world knew that they watched your junior season, they watched your the last season when you dominated, you won the Heisman, like you were the best player in college football and it wasn't even close.
No,
you didn't need to do anything more, get any more spotlight on you. You already had that, and so there's some character issues that I think that and maybe he's gonna get it figured out. Maybe he doesn't have them. I don't know. I'm just going on the perspective of what I see and what I'm reading online, what everybody, and I'm not the only one that's saying this and seeing this. So, and then the other thing with Fields, the question I have is, are the Bears just giving up on him too soon? Because it felt like last year, especially the second half of the season when they really started rolling, he had the injury where he was out for 3 or 4 weeks with the thumb, and then he came back, and when he came back. From that point to the end of the season, it seemed like he was getting better every single week. It seemed like that relationship with him and DJ Moore was getting really, really good. A definite number 1 receiver in the NFL, and that relationship was building, and they were getting a lot better. And then you roll that into this year, the addition of Keenan Allen. Then you obviously, if you don't take Caleb Williams in this draft, you take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And there's probably a good argument out there that if you keep Justin Fields. And you're taking Marvin Harrison, you're probably not making that trade for Keenan Allen.
Right.
But you have to go off of what they have on their roster right now. Justin Fields with those 3 as receivers, that shit would work. That shit would work really, really nice.
I would think so. But yeah, we'll get into a lot more of that quarterback, running back, the whole 9 yards here coming up. But I do want to give a shout out to all the folks that are watching us on YouTube. If you are, give us a big thumbs up. Give us we're at 299 subs, 2Ks. Just sniffing that 300. Getting closer to that 1,000 every single day. So give us a big subscribe over there and ring the bell so you get notified when we go live. And for those newcomers over on Twitter or X, and Instagram, big welcome over there. Give us a follow over there. And if you're in the Facebook group, we go live to the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/2K-Crew. And when you're there, you will see the link to join the Turbo and 2K's Bracket Challenge. It's $10. $10 gets you can submit up to 3 brackets. But once you do, my PayPal link and everything is in there. Once PayPal hits, I send you a message with the password, and we've already got 5 or 6 people in that 2Ks. So that's up and rolling. And if you guys and gals want to get one of these cool Turbo and 2Ks hats, the link is there. I started an Etsy shop, so they're all made to order. So go over there, and I did post the link for the hats in both the YouTube and Facebook description. So check those out. But 2Ks, let's jump into this free agent market here. This was kind of, I'm not going to say it was dominated by quarterbacks this time. Normally when the free agent frenzy hits, there's the big, 1 or 2 quarterbacks that are making big moves, whether they're extended, whether they're, traded, or if they actually hit free agency and they kind of get that bag. And there really was only one. And I think that one kind of sets the playing field for who's drafting a quarterback. Now there were some that moved that I thought were rather odd, which we'll get into here. But Kirk Cousins is the first one, signed with the Falcons. This one was pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, this one was rumored. Him in bed with the Falcons kind of seemed like kind of a foregone conclusion, I guess you could say. But man, gets another guaranteed $100 million contract. His agent is amazing. Amazing. And kudos to him, because this Falcons team, I mean, Drake London gets a huge upgrade at quarterback. Kyle Pitts gets a huge upgrade at quarterback. Bijan Robinson, I mean, with the Artie Smith exiting, maybe they'll actually give him the ball.
Yeah,
which would be fantastic, especially for your fantasy team last year. But yeah, that kind of seemed like the biggest no-brainer for the quarterbacks. I mean, Jacoby Brissett signs with the Pats. We saw Mac Jones get traded, which I was kind of shocked about.
Quick fantasy, while we're just quick plug on the fantasy. Where do you rate Kyle Pitts now going in? Because I know the talent, that's never been the question with Kyle Pitts. Arguably the second most talented tight end in the NFL. I still have to put him behind Travis Kelce right now with what he can, with everything that Kelce can do. But now you have a quarterback that can get him the ball that he's never had in his entire career in the NFL.
A top
yet.
5 pick?
Yes. I think I think he's probably like 3 or 4 tight end on the board in fantasy drafts next year. That's kind of where I have him at. Yeah. With having Cousins, Cousins is going to sling the ball around.
Yeah.
And with that receiving crew that they have, and then obvious a running back that can catch the ball in the backfield also very, very well, he's going to get lots of targets.
I agree. Gardner Minshew signs with the Raiders.
It's a silently very nice,
very solid.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the Raiders draft a quarterback later, I have a very good feeling that Gardner is a good bridge there. Flacco to the Colts, another really good insurance policy if you can't keep Gardner, which led him to a very, very good season. This makes total sense. Jameis to the Browns, I guess, whatever. I mean, the Browns is the Browns, I guess. And Deshaun Watson can't stay healthy. I mean, they aren't able to keep Flacco, which I have a feeling that was more of a publicity thing, because I guarantee Browns fans are going to want Flacco over Deshaun, and you really can't do that with the amount of money you're paying him. So bring in Jameis. He'll be eating dubs over there on the sideline, and kind of, I guess, mentoring, which I really don't see that as a good mentorship there.
How the fuck does this guy even still have a...
I don't know. He waits until his career's over to have LASIK.
Yeah.
That's what blows my mind.
No, I think everybody's kind of just come together and said this guy doesn't stand a fucking chance so we just have to fucking put him on there and just let him wear the outfit and fit the part, and because it's just dumb decision after dumb decision. And I can't imagine that there's anybody that's like, this guy is somebody we want to have in our locker room.
Yep.
Like, maybe he is. I don't know. But, I mean, and you just look back at in the final season last year and that shit he pulled in the game against the Falcons and
Right.
in Artie's last game. And it was just like, what a fucking idiot.
Cody has some comments here I want to get to. He says, I think they'll go Daniels 1 and Neighbors at 9. Have that LSU combo like Cincy. That's not a bad. And I really like Neighbors coming out of this. He would be the number 1 wide receiver on the board if it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think is still a generational talent.
And even like, so there's a chance that Neighbors is not there yet. Okay, so then you fall back onto Odunze from Washington.
Yeah,
I don't think
really
there's
good.
really a gap between those two.
No.
I think if you were to, read whatever these experts are saying, there's probably a lot of people that have Odunze over Neighbors, and just as many people that have Neighbors over Odunze. So I really don't think you can go wrong. The way I have them rated, I have Marvin Harrison number 1, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 3 that I just mentioned.
No. Cody also says Joe Douglas doing it right this offseason. If healthy, that O-line is top 5. Sign Bakhtiari as a backup and draft another interior, Zinter, for depth, and we're set after Bowers at number 10. He also says Jameis is bringing church to Deshaun. Eating dubs. The Rams signed Garoppolo, which whatever. Darnold to the Vikings, which I really don't see him starting for the Vikings. Do you? I still think
the Vikings are going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, they have to. And
I'm sitting here with my fingers crossed and my toes crossed under the table right now that's where JJ McCarthy ends up.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It'd be nice and local to go see him if you really wanted to. And then Tyrod to the Jets. That's, as far as depth goes, I mean, Tyrod Taylor is a far better option than any other quarterback that the Jets ran out there after Rodgers' injury.
Yeah.
So
that's just kind of a sneaky, solid signing.
I like it. I like it.
Obviously, you do not want to have what happened last year, but
No.
if something does happen, hey, the Achilles doesn't hold up, whatever. That's a better option than any of the 3 or 4 different options we watched last.
Or any sort of Zach Wilson, anything to do with that. Anything to do with that. Well, 2Ks, let's move on to the running backs. This was the position, 2Ks, I think stole the show.
Yeah, and shocking to me too. I mean, obviously big names here, but I mean, from what we've seen in previous years, like, you can go draft a running back, sign some random running back. To me, like, all right, Saquon to the Eagles, that one I think is a nice pick. I don't know about that type of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you're wrapping a lot of money into that. When I look on this list and the team that I think got the best out of it, I think the Packers win here.
You would take you would obviously you're pro Josh Jacobs as compared to.
Oh, I think if you're gonna just say who's the best running back on this list, Derrick Henry. Yeah. I worry about the miles on him. Saquon to the Eagles, like. I like it, and I think the Eagles are the team to beat in that division. But for me, like, Josh Jacobs, I think just silently is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and people don't really talk about him because he plays in Vegas, and the Raiders haven't really been a team that anybody talks about. But for him to go to the Packers and look, the Jordan Love had a great season last year. Things started, the offense opened up for him. He started throwing the ball around, but they want to run the ball first.
Yeah,
and. Everybody, and I mean, if you were going to talk to anybody in Green Bay, everybody's going to say the same thing. Everybody loved Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, great locker room presence. Can't say a bad thing about him, but he was not availability.
His best ability
and yes, in the NFL, you have to be available. And I think him being hurt,
both him and Dylan were hurt.
And even when he was healthy, you were always just under the impression like that LaFleur was afraid to give him too many touches because he was worried about the next injury.
Yeah.
And Josh Jacobs and his short career
to beat.
And he and he's a workhorse. He's healthy. He plays through injury. He's on the field all the time. And go back. He didn't get as many carries this last year, but the year before led the NFL in touches. I mean, and it was not even close how many touches he was taking. So
and catches out of the backfield. And I think that's the one thing that separates Saquon from everyone else on this list, aside from Austin Eckler, is his ability to even line up as a wide receiver. I like the fit there. I mean, we talked last week about how are these offensive and defensive lines going to kind of adjust with those big names retiring. Now, Saquon doesn't fill that void by any means, but I think it is a good upgrade.
This is by far the best team that Saquon's ever played for in
Yes.
his career.
Yes. Yes.
No, but the thing I do question a little bit with him is the names that we've mentioned that are retiring.
Sure.
Guys are leaving. Guys are out of there. Their window to me was not open like some of these other teams that we talk about in this. Like they were in this win now mode. Like they really needed to win the Super Bowl 2 years ago when they got there, because this window was not going to last long like some other teams that are in this situation. You just had way too many aging players, and it wasn't going to last forever.
I'm a big fan of the Josh Jacobs signing. The one I'm really, really excited to see is Derrick Henry with the Ravens. To me, this was a slam dunk. The most foregone conclusion, Derrick Henry makes the most sense with the Ravens. The only other team that I would really think he'd be a really, really good fit for would be the Cowboys. But
Yeah.
your Cowboys didn't do shit, 2Ks.
No.
They didn't
nothing.
do anything.
Nothing.
They just let players go.
Yeah.
They didn't re-sign Tony Pollard, which
Yeah, that one doesn't hurt my feelings. I think that they'll address running back here. Maybe later on in free agency. I think maybe in the draft. They'll address that position. But I think Tony Pollard was phenomenal in that role when he played behind Zeke and was just kind of the second guy. But he's not a every down
lightning.
He's not an every down back.
No.
But he swings over to Tennessee, where Tennessee has that Spears, Najee Spears, or whatever his name is, and that I think is a pretty good. They don't really have the thunder like what he had when he was with Zeke, but they got two guys that can really feed off of each other.
Kind of share the load type thing. Yeah. Yep. I don't hate it. It's a big. They're big shoes to fill. King Henry was King Henry for a reason.
Right.
DeAndre Swift to the Bears. I don't hate it. I'm hoping he can stay healthy. I mean, that's kind of been his big MO his entire career. I would have much rather had Austin Eckler, if we're being 100% honest. But Eckler goes to the Commanders. Zach Moss to the Bengals. I would much rather have Mixon than Moss, to be honest with you. Zach Moss. And this is saying nothing. Not taking anything away from Zach Moss. It's just Joe Mixon's proved. He can be pretty much 3 down back, catch the ball out of the backfield, fit very well into that offense. Bengals need, you're talking about Windows 2Ks. Yes, Joe Burrow is going to be there his whole entire career, but how long are you going to be able to keep this band together?
Yeah. That's
what scares me with the Bengals. They have too many good parts. And yes, I know the salary cap is going up, and it is what it is, but it's kind of, they have a wealth of talent that they can't pay them all. So that one was kind of shocking to me. Antonio Gibson to the Patriots. So Devin Singletary to the Giants. Devin Singletary's never really been a 3 down back, and really doesn't make the Giants any better. So it was one of those, like we talked about, the Giants paid their quarterback instead of franchising him and paying Saquon, which is really biting them in the ass right now. And now they're stuck with Danny Dimes that they've overpaid for, in my opinion, and Saquon's walking. Saquon's walking. Let's see what Cody has to say here. Big name signing for half what they turned down last year. Best deal was Eckler in my mind. Eckler's a touchdown machine. He was between him and McCaffrey. If you were doing 2+ touchdowns during a game, you bet on those two. You bet on those two. And but yeah, what else does he say here?
Washington sneaky has done some
very good
things
things
too. Yeah, especially because we all know they're going to take one of these quarterbacks, number 2. But they've done a lot of nice things with their offense to kind of set that guy up. Whoever they decide to go with, he's not going to be coming into a system where he's got no help around him.
Yeah.
He's going to be coming into a pretty good. He's got some pretty nice toys, some good weapons that to use at his disposal. And then to me, when you look around and look at the Cowboys not doing shit, and the Eagles having a lot of players kind of leaving with
retiring,
that division is it's open. It's there for the taking. I mean, only team that you really can look at and say they suck is the Giants.
Yeah. And I would look at the Commanders in a whole different light if they wouldn't had just fire sailed their whole entire defense last year. Yeah. So that's kind of the offense is
they
making
have a lot of
strides.
cap space.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're kind of looking at it with. I mean, this was the plan. You move those defensive linemen to open up cap space to be able to go out and do what you did, and you added a guy like Austin Eckler, and you added weapons and offensive line help, and to prepare this quarterback so where when he gets in there, he's got something to work with.
Yeah, I agree. Cody's asking Zeke back to the boys. Now, Cody did spell boys BOIS, by the way.
I kind of thought, and it's not a bad thought, just because if you would have asked me this a couple years ago, I thought Zeke was a done. I just thought when you watched him with the Cowboys, he seemed like he was a lot slower. And that season he had with the Patriots, and as bad as the Patriots were last year, it was kind of a career resurgence season for him. Where I thought he in games looked really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Cody also says, I think Minnesota should have taken the 2 first and T. Higgins for Justin Jefferson. I heard kind of rumors that the Justin Jefferson was on the block, but I never really. Maybe I didn't really take him too seriously.
Yeah. But do you blame him? I can't blame Justin Jefferson. You're sitting there, and right now you have Sam Darnold as your as your quarterback. I think they're going to address the quarterback here in the first round of the draft. And when they get that guy, then I think that's when you sit and you can have a conversation with Jefferson about the Vikings don't want to lose that. There's no way I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. They don't want to lose that, but for Jefferson not to just basically say I'm not signing any deal right now or anything until I see who the quarterback of the future is. I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit.
Now, in Cody, the reason I say that is if they were planning on moving from Jefferson, they would have paid Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of in my mind, it was kind of an either or. They couldn't have both. You couldn't have a high priced kind of veteran guy there in Kirk Cousins and pay
it just
30, 35,
there's like
40 million for a receiver.
There's like 2-3 quarterbacks in the NFL that you like can consistently always is going to give you an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. You look at like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Burrow.
Maybe. I think Burrow. I know you love Burrow, and I like Burrow. I think Burrow is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
Really?
I do.
Really?
But what I'm saying before, and I want to get to that conversation, but before we get there, what I was going to say is, it's when you draft a quarterback, that's your window.
Yeah.
Because that's when you can afford everything that comes along with it, and you can pay those guys on the defense, and you can pay those receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta, your window starts when you draft and when you're on that rookie contract, because after that, and there's only a few, there's very, very few quarterbacks that are special enough that and I'm talking the Mahomes, that you can keep on riding with and keep on making it work and keep on renegotiating that contract. And guys that are the same, look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay was always in the running, or always a team that was going to be in the playoffs. There's very few quarterbacks, though, that when you look back, that year in, year out, they're always going to give you an opportunity, and you just build around them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the other 85-90% of the league, you're hoping like hell that the shit works out on that rookie contract, and you just build everything around them.
That's what.
And then once it all goes, once you have to pay your quarterback, normally it's over. That's it.
And that's exactly what the Texans are doing right now. Strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly.
You've got the bet. Your number 2 overall pick just had the best season ever for a rookie quarterback. And I really wasn't joking at the time, but we were talking about him in the MVP conversation. I think mostly not to discount what he did, but mostly to say that there really wasn't any quarterback that just took and ran with it. You know what I mean? Like in past years. So yeah, we were, and it wasn't just us. It was a lot of other media outlets that were like, yes, this dude does deserve to be in the conversation. Did he deserve to win it? No, but yeah, he needed to be in that conversation. You're totally right. You're totally right. And 2Ks, let's talk about receivers. And before we go down this list, the one thing that I want to talk about primarily is the Calvin Ridley signing with the Titans. This one has me scratching my head. Now, Calvin Ridley had an okay season last year, is not the youngest guy on this list by any means. But if you look at the contract he signed, 4 years, $94 million. And they traded A.J. Brown, and he wanted 4 years, $100 million. I would have paid $125 million for A.J. Brown and stayed away from Calvin Ridley. Now, I know there's been some GM, some shuffling in the hierarchy over there with the Titans, but man, that just makes you, if you're the Titans, that makes you look like an asshole. That you go out and sign Calvin Ridley for more money than what you were going to pay A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown, I would take him 100 times over than Calvin Ridley. And I'm not, this is not a Calvin Ridley hate. I'm just saying, I mean, he got his bag. Good for him. I mean, that is awesome. That is awesome, especially considering the baggage he came in with last season, being suspended for the year and the year previous. And he was okay. He was okay with Trevor Lawrence. Now we're going to the Titans and Will Levis. Will Levis has not shown he can be on Trevor Lawrence's level. And I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is a gangbuster by any means. I think a lot of us saw that Jags team, under-deliver last year. I think a lot of us had them winning that division, and they didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, they were bad. At times, they were bad. So that's kind of my get it off my chest before I forget things, 2Ks. But yeah, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and Mike Evans. Oh, and one quarterback we didn't touch on was Baker stays with the Bucs. I mean, that kind of would seem like the writing was on the wall there. And I think he played well enough to get that contract.
Oh, for sure. To me, I think it's the best story of the offseason.
Yeah,
and I've never been a Baker, a big Baker fan. But to me, I think it's the best story of the whole season. Like, the guy basically
thrown away.
Yeah, Cleveland was done with him. He plays a 1 week with the Rams and has a great, and basically showed up with 2 days until the game and plays probably the best game of his career at that point, and then goes on to take this, basically be the guy that comes in and steps in the shoes of Tom Brady,
which can't be easy,
and then earned himself 100. I can't think of a better story in all of the NFL.
Now, if he goes back to making progressive commercials, I hate him again. I mean, that's just I'm throwing it out there.
And I'll never be a huge fan of his. I don't hate the guy, but I'll never be a huge fan of his. But to me,
you're not buying a jersey.
No. But to me, this the story.
Yeah,
I said,
absolutely.
Okay, perfect example. I said it earlier. Russell Wilson comes to Pittsburgh. Justin Fields. They trade away Kenny Pickett. I said, Kenny Pickett's not that guy. Kenny Pickett goes to the Eagles. You're going to play behind Jalen Hurts now. You're probably not going to touch the field.
Nope.
Probably play a season with them, and then you're going to go elsewhere. And somebody's going to take a flyer on him.
Oh, yeah.
So then Kenny Pickett goes and has a great season, and all it takes in the NFL, it's what can you do for me right now, league.
Look at Joe Flacco sitting on his couch.
Right.
Comes in and gets the Browns to the playoffs.
Every single sport there is, everything in life, it's what can you do for me right now? And if all it would take is Kenny Pickett come back, he has a good season, somebody's going to pay him.
Oh, yeah.
Especially a quarterback. So that's the story. You have a guy like me saying Kenny Pickett's never gonna amount to shit. He's never gonna do it. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, I'd have said the same thing about Baker. He ain't ever gonna be shit.
Yep.
He fucking proved me wrong. So, and to me, I'll be the first one to admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about him. But it's one of those stories where I'm glad I was wrong about it.
Yeah.
When you see it, I want everybody to fucking get paid and be great at what they do. So
Everyone get their bag.
and they don't even have to be great for a long time. Baker can just be great last year, and he can go the rest of his career and not be great. He's still fucking rich now.
Yeah, yeah, and do not do progressive commercials anymore. Those three were kept with franchise tag, and so we talked about Ridley. Hollywood Brown signs with the Chiefs. I've seen Twitter be really, really excited about this signing, and I've seen Twitter be very, very cautious with this. And the reason they're excited is that he can take the top off of defense, something that team didn't have last year, even though they won the Super Bowl. But we can kind of point to that offense being not as explosive or potent as it has been in any of the years previous under Mahomes, and the defense kind of won that one for him. So this gives another toy.
This is just the
Mahomes.
The rich just continue to get richer. Like, okay, you look at these receivers that are up here. Like, this is not there's some good receivers on this list, but it's not like, wow. I think T. Higgins is very solid. I think Calvin Ridley is a very solid receiver, but no, like, definite number one guy, like take over a game guys. And Hollywood Brown, when you look at, is arguably the fastest out of all these, the biggest playmaker out of all these guys. And what was the one thing that you said about Kansas City last year? Like, they are weak at receiver. They don't have. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, this Rashee Rice starts coming out of nowhere and getting so much better all the way through the season. And it was like, all right, here we go. Here they go again. And now, what you were saying is this offense has Travis Kelce's aging. Like, they're slowing down. How much longer can this last? And then they just roll into this offseason and silently bring a guy like Hollywood Brown in, and they're just they're better offensively than what they were last year now.
And he kind of fills that Kadarius Toney role that he had for a second. Then they like, no, we're good.
Right.
You stay home.
Right.
But
has more football knowledge and talent in his left nut than Kadarius Toney has. And will ever have.
But one of the big knocks with Hollywood Brown is he drops the ball a lot, and that was a problem with the Kansas City Chiefs last year. They led the league in drops. I don't think I've ever seen a team drop the ball as much as they did. Now, the one thing that really excites me and why I'm leaning towards the optimistic side of this is you give Andy Reid a new toy like this, and everyone's talking about, oh, Travis Kelce's lost a step. You know, they're going to have to. That's one more way he can scheme Travis Kelce to get open. I don't think Travis Kelce's lost a step. They were just shutting him down almost every single game last year, and he struggled for the first time in his career really to get separation. Why? Because there was 2 and 3 guys on him. And now I'm going to bring in a comment from Cody here because it goes right along with that. Hollywood and KC is going to be a problem. Rice grew up quick, and Pacheco is an established. I'm not really sure what a meat horse is.
Well, he's
that.
He
he says not to mention Kelce. But yeah, according to Cody, Pacheco's a meat horse. Not a workhorse, but a meat horse.
Yeah, well, I mean, if meat horse is anything like workhorse, then he's on the right track. Like, because that dude. He's a fun running back to watch.
Oh,
he runs like his hair's on fire. Everything is downhill. There's really no fucking around with him. He's gonna run right through you, and that's fun to watch. And it's fun to watch on that team, especially because when you think about Andy Reid and that offense, it's very, very built on finesse.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna out scheme you. We're gonna scheme these guys open,
not punching the face,
and get the ball in space and make big plays. And I think that was what Kansas City was lacking so much is they needed that guy that when you needed 2 or 3 yards, okay, we can throw this guy in there. He's going to get it for us. And then so he goes perfect with that team. But yeah, I mean, this edition of Hollywood Brown, they didn't really lose anything from last year. Obviously with the signing of Chris Jones and the defensive side of the ball, they're probably going to end up with losing Snead. Snead will, we'll see what happens as the rest of this offseason goes, that'll be a big loss to the defense. But that defense was so fucking good last year and you got Spagnuolo.
As long as Chris Jones is still there,
Yeah.
they're going to be good.
Yeah, they're gonna be fine, and to me, the offense is better now. You just added a Hollywood Brown, like
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's catch up on some more Cody's comments here. He says, "Look at Geno Smith resurgence." Absolutely. Absolutely. And he also says, where did it go? Talking about Trevor Lawrence, he said they were bad the last third of the season after Lawrence suffered 3 different injuries and played through them. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Let's keep cruising down here. Darnell Mooney signs with the Falcons. Gabe Davis with the Jags. Curtis Samuel with the Bills. But like you said, 2Ks, there really isn't. I mean, you could kind of argue that Michael Pittman Jr. would be considered a number 1 just because he's a number 1 on the Colts. Mike Evans, again, a number 1 just because he's a number 1 on the Bucks. But there really isn't like that, top 5 receiver that went into free agency. Kind of get into touch. There really wasn't a whole lot of tight ends on the move. I think Noah Fant was kind of the biggest one. The Mike Gesicki to the Bengals is kind of sneaky to me. But again, a lot of other guys that are kind of under the radar or maybe past their prime, I guess you could say. But 2Ks, we're not going to go down offensive line, defensive line, so we don't have nearly that amount of time. But what was your biggest takeaway from free agency?
ooh,
Besides the amount of money guys were getting.
yeah, the amount of money is crazy, but that's across the board, every
Yeah.
single sport. I mean, you watch an off season in baseball, and you're just like, where the fuck is all this money come from? You watch an off season in the NBA, and you're like, wow, what the fuck are they paying these
Especially
guys?
the NBA.
Yeah,
Especially the
and yeah, I mean, they're paying fucking 6 man, 7 man, and on a team, and
$40 million.
yeah, and so it's crazy on that. I don't know. I like. There's just been some. Everybody always talks about like the big moves, like obviously the Saquon Barkley move that draws out a lot of the headlines. But to me, some of the things one of the moves that pops off to me right off the bat is the Hunter signing with the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Texans were really, really close last year,
Yes.
and adding a guy into the defensive line at that caliber. Texans are a team all of a sudden now that you really got to think about.
Oh, yeah.
In the AFC, and they knew that they had to get better with the pass rush because look at the quarterbacks that they're going to have to go through when the playoffs start, and so they've done that, and that's kind of more of a quieter signing. And then I look at, I like what the Vikings have done there. I mean, obviously you see a guy like Kirk Cousins leave, and you see some of the other bigger names leave. The guy I just mentioned leaving also, but they also made some signings that really didn't get a whole lot of headlines, and they cleared up a ton of cap space, and they're going to draft one of these quarterbacks in the draft, and I keep on really hoping that's going to be JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you re-sign Jefferson and get him back in there, and I think the Vikings are a team that they're not very far off. Like right now, when you look at that division's loaded. Like the Bears have had. I mean, yeah, the move with Fields is some question marks, but the Bears, up until that point, a lot of people were saying, oh, they might be having the best offseason of anybody. Like they've made some major moves. Obviously, they have 2 first-round picks that are in the top 10. There's a lot of things that they can do, and so they're on the up and up, and they finished the season really, really strong. Detroit, making it to where they made it last year. Green Bay and what Jordan Love was doing, like that division that's a gauntlet of a division to go through now, and
it's kind of weird to think that out of all of them, I think right now, if the season started today, you would kind of have to say that the Vikings are kind of at the bottom of that division right now.
Absolutely, right now, yep. But then we'll see. That's why I know everybody always gets super excited about the draft. But this draft, to me, is more exciting than any draft that I can remember. And I say that because there's probably going to be 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
And how many receivers?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not...
But that's the new NFL, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah.
Okay, you can sign... Why is our Cincinnati putting the franchise tag on a T. Higgins? And he's basically saying I want traded, and there's no teams that are looking to trade away for him because T. Higgins is really, really good, but you're gonna have to pay him,
Mm-hmm.
And there's, to me, we talked about it a few minutes ago. There's 3 wide receivers in this draft that I'll take over T. Higgins.
No, hands down. Hands down. To me, T. Higgins is a very complimentary receiver. He's not a number one, which is why Jamar Chase is it.
Right.
Now, is he very good?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
He's a beast. I mean, and for some teams in the NFL, he could be that number one guy.
Sure.
But those teams that are that are needing that number one guy, they're going to take the rookie contract and a guy that's 4 or 5 years younger and take their chances with that. And I'm not saying that T. Higgins is not as good. Marvin Harrison is better than T. Higgins today.
Yeah.
But the other two, maybe T. Higgins is a step ahead of them right now.
But for how long?
Exactly, and you have to pay him, and you can pay these other guys on a rookie contract, and we're just naming these 3. There's fucking over 10 receivers in this draft that are playmakers, that are difference makers for any of these franchises that decide to take them, and there's going to be a lot of them taken here in the first 2 rounds of this draft.
Hands down. Cody says that Jets offensive line additions win free agency. You better hope so, dude. Because if I don't know if I'm pretty sure New York would implode if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt again. They would just implode.
And the thing is, and I agree that the offensive line, what the additions are really, really good. The problem is, can they stay healthy?
Yeah.
I absolutely love Tyron Smith. Love him. I'm a Cowboys fan. We're fortunate enough to have him for the last fucking over 10 years. Phenomenal offensive line, arguably the best left tackle in the NFL in the time that he's been in the league. But the last 2 or 3 years have been very, very frustrating with him. He has missed a lot of time.
You can put another brace on that man.
Yeah.
Both arms, both knees.
And then you sign Bakhtiari also.
He's another one. He hasn't played in 3 years.
Right. I mean, coming off of a significant knee injury, then had another knee injury on top of it. Had to go back in and have an operation on it again. Yeah, dude's a fucking stud. Dude's got a lot of miles on a big body like that, and has taken a fucking beating. And I hope that both of them are able to play. Bakhtiari, Cody would know. He hasn't signed there yet, has he? I know it's the rumor. The rumor is, and obviously with Rodgers being there, it sounds like he's going to be. That's where you're going to be given a chance, but I don't think it's a done deal there. But even if it is, there's a chance that guy's done. There's no more gas in the tank, no more miles.
And I think that's the reason why he hasn't signed yet. I mean, it's kind of a. Oh, and Cody says, and he doesn't like turf, which is yeah. Now, my big takeaway is, and again, maybe this is a homer thing, but let's circle. I don't want to keep beating the Justin Fields drum here, but the thing that kind of there's almost 5 million brackets already submitted, and they just did the whole selection show an hour ago. So stupid. Oh, come on, stop it. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But for a 6th round pick, if you're a Lions fan, I mean, granted, I know it's in the division. You drafted, what was it, Hendon Hooker last year? Still haven't seen him, haven't needed to. But if it was known that it would have taken a 6th round pick, a conditional 6th round pick,
right,
I think a lot more teams would have been a lot more apt to do this. But, and I saw it on Twitter, and it got me thinking. It's like, if you are a Lions fan for a 6th round pick,
yeah, but you just paid, or you're in the process of Jared Goff getting fucking paid, because you're gonna pay him, and man, I'm all for having a very, very good backup quarterback, but I don't want to have a backup quarterback that if things start to go a little bit south and Jared Goff loses couple games in a row or something. I don't want a fan base turning on him or any situation like that, because that's the thing with Fields is,
well, you're gonna have that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 100%. I think you are. I mean, it's all going to come down to how well Russell Wilson plays in the beginning. But if things to go south, you're going to have that, and Tomlin's going to play whoever he believes. Gives them the better chance. What would scare me, in a situation with the Lions, I like the idea of having him, because you want a good backup quarterback, and And why not take an opportunity or a shot with this guy who's fucking super young, great athlete. Sky's the limit with him. Like, he can continue to get better. Look at the jump that Jalen Hurts made in his throwing ability just in a year or two. Like, made a major jump there. Can Justin Fields do that? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But so yeah, I like the idea. But when you have a guy that is like a fucking Ferrari as a backup, quarterback there, if things start to go south with your main guy, and he has a couple off weeks or something, or not figuring it out, has a game where he throws 3 or 4 interceptions, and Goff he does that every now and again. I would be worried about a fan base turning on, and so that would be the only scary thing for me on that. Especially because, like, if you have a dominant quarterback that nobody's ever going to turn on, then you take your chances with that. But if you have Jared Goff is middle of the road. He's not like elite quarterback. No. He's that.
He gets the job.
Yes.
And Cody says it here. Says I'm pumped for Field in Pittsburgh. He will start by week 4. And Cody, I could totally see that. And the reason I say that is, yes, Russell Wilson is making a shit ton of money this year, but 39 million of his 40.25 or whatever the hell it is coming from Denver. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh's only in this for 1.25 or whatever it is. If things start to go south really quick, you're right. Tomlin has that hammer, and for a vet league min contract, it's worth a flyer for Russ Wilson.
Yeah, I tell you, this is completely off of what we're talking about, but like, one cool thing I keep on going back to is, like, man, Fields is gonna look fucking fast in that black and yellow. Yeah. Like,
talk about a Ferrari.
Yeah, like blue and orange. I know you're a Bears fan, but like, those are terrible fucking colors. Awful colors. The Bears uniforms are fucking terrible.
They are.
Like, right up there, maybe the worst uniforms in all of football. Dolphins suck too, and so do the Redskins. But there's some bad. Bears are fucking right there though. Like, those Steelers uniforms, I think, are fucking badass.
Yes.
And Fields getting in that. That dude's gonna look fast in that.
But the 6th round pick was should have been a no-brainer, which it was for the Steelers, and to kind of have it's kind of weird to think that Justin Fields is getting paid by the Steelers more than what they're paying Russell Wilson, and I think that right there affords you don't have to have that long leash. You can have a shorter leash, especially with that defense that the Steelers have, especially with if you take the weapons that they have in Pittsburgh compared to what Russ had in Denver, by far leaps and bounds better. Mm-hmm. It's by far better than what Fields had in Chicago. And so you're kind of setting them both up for success, but I have a feeling, like Cody said, if shit goes south real quick, that leash is very, very short. Very short, because I'm not saying you have a quote-unquote proven commodity in Justin Fields sitting behind him, but you kind of do. Mm-hmm. Justin's won a lot of games. Has he not played up to the potential that I think obviously Bears fans thought that they were getting when they traded up to get him? But it is.
But I mean, like, to me, you have to get rid of, like, you have to just completely forget that first season where before DJ Moore is even there. Like, that fucking receiving core was horrible.
Yeah,
was horrible. We sat there and kept on people and Bears fans fucking overvalue their own players more than anybody more than any fan base I've ever met, because, like, I can remember going back a couple years ago and Bears fans were trying to tell us, like, Mooney is going to be he's a stud. He's a wide receiver number 1. Right. That motherfucker sucks. Like, he's not even a 4 on teams.
He's never healthy.
Right. I've seen him catch like 8 passes in the 4 years that I feel like I've been watching him, and it's nothing ever gets better with him now. So, like,
DJ Moore had more catches and more yards in one game,
right?
When he had for a whole season, it seems.
DJ Moore got there. Last year with the Bears, the first like 3 weeks of the season were fucking dog shit, terrible. And they were not using Fields the way that they needed to use him. There was no designed runs with him. Everything was just simple fucking wide receiver screens. They were not setting up DJ Moore.
Cole
He was
Kmet
not
was
getting very
leading-
many targets.
leading the
Cole
team
Kmet
in
was leading the
receiving.
team in receiving, and it was just bad. And then he started to get it going there for a couple weeks. Then he had the unfortunate injury where he went down for like 4 weeks. And then when he came back, like that team went on a fucking run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I don't know. If I was a Bears fan and like if you would have been able to get like a second rounder out of him, I probably could live with it. Like I'd be like, all right, yeah, we're resetting the timeline on with the rookie contract. We're getting Caleb Williams. Like I'm good with this. We got a second round pick to go along with our 2 first rounders already. Like everything's great. But after seeing that, there was really no. I mean, obviously, if he goes for a 6th rounder, there was no market for him.
No.
There was nothing available. That was the best that they can get out of it. So after that, fuck, I'm keeping Fields and I'm rolling along with it.
The only downside with that is who well, you could think about it either way. If you're Caleb Williams and you keep him, the likelihood of Caleb going, I'm not going there if he's there because I don't want him breathing down my back. Or with Justin Fields is represented by Mulugeta, you know, the top dog right now. And I have a feeling it would cause more controversy and more, you know, just shit going on in the locker room than what it's worth. He would request a trade. This is what they would have got out of it anyway.
Right.
So, do I agree that me personally, I think he's worth more than a 6th round pick? Yeah, but I think the asking price at the beginning was a little too high and unrealistic, and this is what they're left with, other than just cutting him. And for them to kind of, I guess, quote unquote, be like, "Hey, here you go. You want to go to Pittsburgh? We made it happen for you. Thank you for your time." That's cool for the organization, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does over there. Let's put it that way. And Cody says, Artie Smith loves Fields too much. Sorry, Russ. And he also says, Goff is better than average. He went toe-to-toe with Mahomes in a 100-point game with the Rams and beat him last season. He has it. He also says Tyreek Cohen was their best player for the last 10 years and got hurt and disappeared. I think there was some more off-the-field stuff with Mr. Cohen that actually kept him away from the field.
Yeah, I remember that. The Bears' offense, offensively for years, has never been. And I guess for me, like that's why the just believing that Caleb Williams is going to be the answer is it just feels like put another quarter in the merry-go-round, folks. Here we go again.
And it always seems with the Bears is that their offensive spark is like gimmicky. Even going back to Devin Hester, you know, they try him at receiver. To me, that's gimmicky. Was Devin Hester a game changer and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as a returner? 125%. Could not agree more. Tyreek Cohen was kind of the same way. That small scat back that they tried to use more than what they should have. And yeah, like Cody said, he got hurt, and then. Like I said, I can't remember the exact reason why, but I have a feeling, if I remember correctly, there were some off-the-field shenanigans that kept him away from the field. 2Ks, you ready for your top 5?
I am.
All right. We are doing top 5 things we like most about March Madness. And I think 2Ks, we can both agree that this is a special time of year. And I kind of already gave you my honorable mention. This is, to me, the start. Yes, you could say that, you know, pitchers and catchers reporting and then spring training starting. But even as an avid baseball fan, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to spring training ball. Do I keep an eye on it? Yeah. Do I watch any of the games? No. I watch highlights just because I'm not going to sit there and watch a whole game when the starters might play 3 innings.
Yeah.
And that's towards the end of spring training when they're breaking camp. Is it cool to see the highlights of the younger players? Absolutely. That's kind of what spring training's for. But to sit there and watch games, no.
Yeah.
So to me, this is the start of the cool season, or a lot of other people say the other season that's not football. This is the kickoff. Like I said, we've got the Masters coming up in April here in a couple weeks, and then opening day starts, and that's when baseball is king. Everything's cool. So that's kind of my honorable mention. I kind of gave that one away. But my number 5 is just the drama, the Cinderellas, the drama. Who's going to be this year's, Lob City, or, insert name of Cinderella here. And I think this year 2Ks, this is setting up to be, I mean, if you watch any of the selection show, I mean, there's some 12 and 13 seeds that can make some noise in this tournament. We've already said that there isn't like a team that's head and shoulders above everybody else. I can't remember a time when we've had, usually there's at least one seed that has like 1 or 2 losses.
Right.
Not this year. So getting to that, the drama, the drama in this is going to be awesome. My number 4 is just hanging out and watching it with buds. I mean, cracking a couple beers, watching. Yeah, there's 4.5 million brackets done already. You guys, stop it. Those are people that don't think about shit.
No,
I need
probably
to
are the
digest
ones
it.
that fucking win most of the time.
Probably.
You just go out there and just fill one out and don't think about it.
Yeah.
You put too much thought into them. Those are the ones that normally fucking bust right off the bat.
But yeah, to me, like one of the best parts is just hanging out and watching games. Whether that's at a bar, at your house, friend's house. Love every minute of it. My number 3 is I can continue to hate on Purdue and Gonzaga. Fuck both those teams. Fuck them both.
I'm telling you what, you can tell me I'm fucking wrong. You can come in and laugh in my face. I think Purdue is going to go deep into this tournament. I know for a lot of people are like, oh well, no shit. They're one of the best teams in college basketball. Well,
look at their track record.
If you look at their track record, they lose a lot. Last year they lost to a 16 seed. So
I think they'll go farther than last year. But I will always pick them and Gonzaga. Gonzaga's boned me for many more years than Purdue has. But it seems like this last run here in the last decade, Purdue usually screws my bracket up somehow, one way or another. So this is yet another time that I can.
I think Purdue's a Final Four team. I will say that. That'll be my.
Heard it here.
I think they get to the Final Four.
And my number 2 is, I gotta say, filling the brackets out. Filling the brackets out. I mean, who doesn't like doing that? I mean, to me, it's the most fun. Well, aside from my number 1, which is betting on the games.
Yes.
That is number 1. Yeah. Now, one thing that I did want to, that didn't make my top 5 or my honorable mention, is there's always, I think for the last 24 years, I think it became official today, or 26 or whatever the hell it is, the Michigan State Spartans making it into the tournament. And this is January, February, Izzo. And dude hasn't won a national title since like 2000 or some shit. Yeah. And the camaraderie between college basketball fans and Michigan State fans, and is it time to go away from Coach Izzo? So that's always entertaining too, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Notre Dame is not a prevalent basketball school. Are they? Hopefully with Coach Shrew, they're on their way up. But it's always fun to sit back and enjoy the banter. Let's put it that way. Well, 2Ks, what is your top 5 things you like the most about college, or the March Madness?
Number 5, I'd have to go with just it's like the appetizer before the baseball season starts. You know, like that. So that one definitely fits in there. Baseball is, I mean, probably the NFL is my favorite sport to watch, just because it goes by so fast. It's not drug all the way through the summer, but I get excited for opening day of baseball more than any other sport there is. Like I love that the beginning of baseball, and then when the season starts, it's always like the MLB kind of just has that lull for a couple months, and then it starts to amp back up towards the end of the season. to where what I love so much about the NFL is it just seems like it's fucking on all the time.
Yeah.
There's no lull in the season.
And just when you think there's a lull, oh shit, here's a Black Friday game, here's Thursday games, here's whatever, you're right.
Yep.
And partner that with college football going on at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to get into the weeds of it, go to your local Thursday and Friday games.
Yep.
You could have football every day of the week.
Yep.
Every day of the week.
Yep. Number 4, I would say the brackets. I'm not a huge fan of filling out the brackets. I used to love it. I used to love doing it back when you actually had a bracket and you wrote everything down and you turned in your fucking bracket.
Yeah.
And then you had the guy, like a lot of times it was me running the leagues, now I'm running the highlighter. But everything now being digital, being on a screen, it just I lost the love of doing it when it switched to that version. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of like old fashioned. I loved having that paper bracket, and most of the time, in my case, by fucking Friday afternoon, I had that fucker in the trash. So, but I miss those days of actually having the paper bracket. Number three, I would have to go with from that first week, that first Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's awesome.
You can't beat it. Like, it is basketball from noon until midnight.
Yeah.
After midnight for some of those games, because there's always that game that starts at fucking like 9:50, and I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking way I'm staying up for this. But then I'm fucking still up because I'm gambling on the game, and I'm still up watching it. But yeah, it's nonstop basketball. So many good games. You get to watch. You're not just watching the same teams that you see all the time throughout the season. You're watching teams that that don't ever really get an opportunity to play for everybody to see. And then on top of that, like, there's some really, really good talent that are playing for some of these schools that you don't even know about. And this is the time when you find out about them. Look at Steph Curry. Like, nobody even knew who the fuck he was.
Jimmer Fredette.
Yes.
Like we talked
and
about.
And then they just have their coming out party during the biggest time of the season. And like, you can't, you just can't beat that. And then number 2, kind of to piggyback off of that, you mentioned it also, the Cinderellas. Yeah. I mean, like, there's to have those 1 or 2 or in some cases 3 teams that just come in and completely blow up your bracket, destroy it.
Florida Gulf Coast.
So then you throw your fucking bracket in the trash, but then you can't help but, like, I know for me personally, like, okay, Fairleigh Dickinson, they ruined my bracket because I had Purdue going far last year. I had them going to the championship game. They ruined my bracket right off the bat. Well, I'm gonna fucking root for Fairleigh Dickinson now the rest of the way through. I'm a fan of them now. So that part of it's cool. Like, I like picking up on those Cinderella teams and watching them make a run and it's just, I mean, for some of those kids, like, they never thought they would ever have a chance to do anything like that, and for a 2-week span or something, or however long it takes for this tournament, 2 weeks, like, they're on top of the world.
Absolutely.
And so that's cool to me. But then number 1 is obvious. I love to fucking sit at my house with a house full of people, drinking beer, eating snacks, betting, gambling.
You degenerate.
Like, yes, doing all the shit that you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, it's like, it's so much fucking fun betting on college basketball and watching these games, and you watch 16 games on Thursday, and you're betting on over-unders, and to watch 14, 15 of them basically be within 2-3 points of it. It's always just been incredible to me, like, how close they are, and how everything just comes down to the wire with these games. So it's pretty incredible to watch. And I think when it comes to betting lines and over under and all that, like, there's not a sport in the world that puts more of a than this college basketball tournament. Like, anything can happen,
Right.
And it's always so freaking close.
What gets me is when you, especially in these 1 versus 16 games, and they'll have, like, Purdue favored, over under, or the spread will be at 32 points.
Mhm.
And Purdue will go into half up by 3.
Yep.
Everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is," and they end up blowing them out by 40.
Yep.
And it's like, calm down, folks,
Yep.
calm down.
Yep.
But yeah, if you've got a lot riding on that big spread, and you're like, it comes to half, and you're like, oh shit, oh shit. And for those watching, speaking of halves, why is college basketball the only basketball on earth, men's college basketball, the only ones that played in halves and not quarters? It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's the only one. High school quarters, girls and boys.
Mhm.
The girls play 4 quarters.
Mhm.
NBA plays 4 quarters.
Mhm.
WNBA plays 4 quarters. Why in the hell is college basketball, men's college basketball, halves?
I don't know.
Not that it makes a difference. It's just
You're right.
it's just
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
Where usually you try to make it the same all across the board. All across the board. And now
The only thing my major gripe on college basketball is, can we get the fucking shit going right with the replays? Like,
yeah.
I'm all for looking at it in the last 2 minutes of a game, but why don't they have an official that's like on the fucking horn, like, it's off, and it was off white, and we're going the other way? Like, why does it take fucking 5 minutes with 3 goddamn refs looking at this fucking screen that's the size of your phone screen, and they're all.
And they got the ref cam right in their face, and they're all like,
Yeah, I mean, if you're a close college basketball game, a game that's within 2 or 3 possessions, it takes fucking 20 minutes to go through the last 2 minutes, because there's always going to be a tip pass. Teams are dialing up the press. There's going to be deflections. There's going to be things that somebody's going to step on a line, something, and you see 3 officials, and they all get around this fucking phone screen, and I'm like, how do we? Where we're at today with all these, I mean, you look at the scores table and you see fucking 18 people that have officiating shirts on. You can't tell me that one of those guys can't step upstairs and watch it on a big screen and have a phone and be like,
Gene Steratore needs to figure this shit out.
I mean, what the hell?
Come on, Gene. Get your shit together.
And it seems like we have this conversation every single year and nothing changes. Honestly, it gets fucking worse.
Now, what would be cool is if they had a flag they could throw.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Even though still it wouldn't help the process speeding it up.
Right.
It'd just be cool to throw something.
I mean, because you saw, like, to me, I thought that was awesome with the NFL this year, where they were able to speed it, like the obvious ones.
Yes.
There's a guy, the official doesn't even get over there to even start looking at what's going on in that NFL game, and somebody's already calling down on the field like, this one's obvious, it's a catch.
Yeah.
And so you have a
good.
play that's handled. You have a challenge that's it lasts 25 seconds, and we're back to playing. And that's how it should be. How do we have this in college basketball in 2024, where it's fucking obvious? I could see it in game speed that it was going off, that it went off white. But in 2024, we have officials over there for fucking 6 minutes trying to figure out where it went and how much time is on the clock, because there's a big fucking deal from 16.4 to 16.1.
No, I'm right there with you. Gene Steratore figured it out. We do have a couple comments here from Cody here. I want to get out of the way here. Caleb Williams in Chicago wind. LOL. From no wind, sunny, warm LA. Is the new Chicago Stadium plans a dome? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I have a feeling that's going to be quite a few years away. So maybe he's still there. I don't know. Cody says, did you see the challenge last night in the Lakers Golden State game that took 15 minutes when the shot clock froze? LeBron lost it. They tried restarting it like 6 times. Cody, you asked me if I watched an NBA game. The answer is no. 2Ks did.
I did.
2Ks did. This guy did not. So yes, 2K crew, I want to, for the folks that are watching, if you want in on the bracket challenge, facebook.com/group/2K crew. It is one of the pinned comments. Follow the instructions in there and we'll get you in on that. If you do want to get in on the hats, they are made to order. Again, it's I put the link in the YouTube comments and in the Facebook comments, as well as if you are in the group, it is one of the pinned comments there as well. Hope to see everyone in the bracket challenge. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.